then I heard this voice in my heart, like Our Lady's voice. Like I was asking her, like, what do I do? Like, how do I get rid of all these attachments? Because I'd seen the reality of hell in my dream. And she just said in my heart, put my son first. Put my son first.
This is Touched by Heaven. Everyday encounters with God. Those moments when heaven and earth collide and we see God. Welcome. It's episode 250. I'm your host, Trapper Jack. So glad you're here. This is a great episode. This is terrific. We're going to Ireland. We're going to do a little traveling. Going to talk to Juliann. Oh, and if you're in Ireland, of course, all sentences must end with, don't you know? So, don't you know? We're going to Ireland with Juliann.
I'm in Ireland. I am indeed.
And it's raining because it's always supposed to be raining in Ireland to keep it green.
It is. Well, it was, but the sun started coming out then.
There you go. And you can argue, what is the fastest way to Jesus?
I felt like I was being just guided by Our Lady and everything, guiding me more towards Jesus, like always bringing me to him,
I personally, I think Juliann took the fastest way. It's fast and effective. 4 out of 5 doctors agree. Let's see if you will, and then we'll argue later. But not today. I'm not in the mood. Don't you know? Okay, so Juliann in Ireland, she's growing up Catholic, doing the Mass thing, doing the Rosary thing, doing all those things. And of course, here comes rebellion, right? Always comes in her teen years. And along with that came issues with alcohol.
Like my personality is I'm quite introverted by nature. But when I discovered alcohol, obviously, I thought this is the answer to all my problems now. And I started drinking and partying, that kind of lifestyle. Then when I went to college, then I was partying a lot, had escaped from home and was just doing whatever I wanted to do, and like God was always there, like because of my upbringing, God was always there in the background, but I just wasn't really calling on him anymore. So I wouldn't say I lost my faith. It was always there, but I stopped practicing anyway, for sure. But then I forgot again. I'd say my few morning prayers and stuff, but then I wasn't living out my faith at all. So it wasn't really relationship as such, but I'd always feel called back. Like I passed by a church and I'd feel called to go into Mass and stuff, but I just wasn't living it out in my real life,
Yeah, so you were visiting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And how does this, and the alcohol story plays a role in this, I take?
Yeah, big role. Yeah. So I was so anxious one day, and like there was nothing I could think of that I could do that was going to take away my anxiety. And I suddenly felt this really strong urge that came from nowhere. That was just like, kneel down and pray a decade of the Rosary. And like literally hadn't thought about the Rosary for, I don't know, since ever. And so this came to me. So I kneeled down, I said a decade of the Rosary, and then everything melted away. Like as soon as I started praying the Rosary, it all went away. All the anxiety went, and I was like, okay, now I can go to work. And I was like, I wrote in my diary, like, if you ever feel really anxious and nothing is helping, pray a decade of the Rosary. So I wrote that down, and then I was thinking there must be something to this now, So I decided, okay, I'm gonna start praying the Rosary a bit more. So I was praying it every now and again, and I come upon this book. I've actually got the book here. It's called The Book of Life. Gloria Polo's Witness, it's called. So this book, I don't know where it came from. My mom had it, and somehow it got into my house. I don't know how. Anyway, so it's about this lady who had a near-death experience.
I read this book.
Did you? Yeah.
Oh, yes. This is one. We hear about near-death experiences, and we always think the white light, and you go to heaven. Then there are those who don't go that direction.
Exactly. Yeah. So, like, basically, it says here, she was a doctor of dentistry. She attended Mass weekly. She prayed the Rosary occasionally. She was struck by lightning and died, and she found herself at the gates of hell. Through the mercy of God, she was granted a second chance, and basically Jesus told her to go back and tell her story over and over again. So basically, I saw so much of myself in this book because she was practicing like from the outside, but inside she didn't have any faith in God, She was living life for herself, but every now and again she'd just go through the motions of going to Mass and praying the Rosary, but not with her heart, So this kind of really struck me, and I was like, oh, right, okay. So that's not enough, It's not okay to just go through the motions, but in your heart and in your private life, you're doing whatever you want, you know? So that kind of hit me very hard. And that kind of made me think and examine my own conscience. And all this time I was praying the rosary, I increased my praying the rosary every day. And then, like, when I'd be praying the rosary, it just come over me, okay, you need to go to confession, you know? But it was never like, I kind of like a judgmental, you have to go to confession now. Like, it was just more, okay, I'm going to bring you to confession, like a very motherly feeling, like that I didn't feel scared to do it, you know? After confession, when I confessed about the party lifestyle and everything, I got this kind of a gift of, I call it a gift of disgust, because it was a gift of disgust for the party lifestyle, you know, because in the party lifestyle there's alcohol and there's also like the party drugs and everything. It all goes hand in hand. So I got like a complete gift of disgust for any kind of drugs and the party lifestyle that we were kind of living at the time. And I was like, I don't want any part in this anymore. It made me feel nauseous, you know? So that was after I confessed that. It was like completely, I was given this gift and I didn't want to do it anymore.
How long had it been since you had been at confession when you went back that first time there? How long had it been?
It was years. Like I'd gone, it was at least, I'd say it was like 5 years probably.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd gone like before, but it wouldn't have been a full confession before because I didn't even know half the stuff I was doing was wrong, you know? Or maybe I didn't want to know. You know, I was maybe in denial a little bit. So I was still struggling with alcohol at this point, you know. And I had a dream one night. Okay, so I'm just gonna write. I'll read out what I wrote about the dream in my diary on the time. So I said I had a dream about hell last night. It was a horrible greenish brown dim place with shapes of people with no hope, sitting all staring in the one direction. There was not a flicker of light. There was no hope or love there. Everything moved as though it was struggling through a thick sludge. Thick, dusty smog covered everything. And then I wrote, it does exist. Don't be fooled by this world of vanity and greed. And then I was kind of like talking myself into like looking at the state of my soul rather than my outer state, which I'd been more concerned about at that time, about my outer appearance, you know. So basically, that really, like when I woke up from that dream, like I knew this, it's not just a dream, it was very specific and it felt very completely real when I was there, you know. So
You
that kind
talk
of was
about,
like,
that dream. Is it still very vivid to you now?
yeah,
Like it's
completely.
like, I mean, there are some dreams that hit you more visiony than dreamlike because they don't dissipate over time. Is that one of those?
Yeah, like I could close my eyes and I can see it
You're there again.
again.
Yeah.
But it's mostly even the feeling because it was like a real feeling of despair and like nothing, just no hope. But there was no communication between the people either. There wasn't even the that kind of bit of hope of communicating with somebody else. It was just completely alone, but there were other people there, and it was just the feeling of it just sticks in my heart, like, you know, that I knew this is not just any old dream. Like it's here for a reason, you know. After that, I just begged Jesus and Our Lady to help me. Um, and I was praying the rosary again. Then I heard this voice in my heart, like Our Lady's voice. Like I was asking her, like, what do I do? Like, how do I get rid of all these attachments in my life? Like, what am I going to do? You know, because I'd seen the reality of hell in my dream. And she just said in my heart, put my son first. Like, completely clear. I had no doubt in my mind that was from Our Lady. And she said, like, clearly in my heart, put my son first. So I was like, all right. So I decided, okay, I'm gonna make it my priority to put Jesus first and try to get to know him better, you know. So I went to adoration one day, and at this point, like I knew all the teachings of the Catholic faith that like Jesus is the Eucharist, but to understand that is something completely different, you know, and to fully to grasp it. So I was in adoration one day, and then I was given that knowledge in my heart. Like it was like, this is me. Like I could see the host there, and he let me know that was him, and he made me realize how amazing it is and how like what a gift it is that we can take in the divine and that we can have the divine in us. And then I was just amazed because like the knowledge was just given to me, like infused all at once. And then I knew. Whereas before I knew in my mind, but I didn't know in my heart. I kept praying the rosary all the time, and I was getting freed from more and more attachments that were in my life, you know. So anything that they would all come up during the rosary, um, in a very gentle way, and then like I'd be freed. I'd know that okay, I have to bring this to confession, and like I felt like I was being just guided by Our Lady and everything, guiding me more towards Jesus, like always bringing me to Him, you know. So I was still having this struggle with alcohol. It was still going on. I'd be drinking every day when I came home from work. On my days off, I'd be drinking, like not a massive amount, but it was always there, and it was definite attachments. This brings us up to the 15th of August 2020. So that's the feast day of the Assumption of Our Lady into heaven, and it's a holy day. So there's mass on. But on the 15th of August 2020, I had actually gotten drunk the night before and I missed mass for the 15th of August for the Feast of the Assumption. And so I felt really bad about that. In July of 2021, I find another book in my room. So I'll show you this book that I found.
You found this book.
I found this book, right? I don't know. So this is the book. It's 33 Days to Morning Glory, it's called.
The 33-day consecration to Jesus through Mary. This is where you bring all your problems to Mary. Mary takes the problems to Jesus. That's the idea. Based on the wedding feast of Cana. The wedding couple were out of wine. Mary goes to Jesus, not the wedding couple. Mary's the intercessor, goes to Jesus and gives the perfect prayer. They have no wine. Doesn't tell them what to do. They have no wine. And that's what Mary does for us. She delivers in case our prayers are a little defective, maybe too much ego. She perfects them, takes them to Jesus. And I used to think, oh, this is kind of crazy, until I heard who else did it. Saint Mother Teresa, Saint Pope John Paul II, Saint Maximilian Kolbe, Saint Padre Pio, on and on and on. And it's like, oh, well, maybe they're on to something.
And it's supposed to be the fastest, surest, and easiest way to becoming a saint. So obviously I was like, right, I'm going for this. So, so it was still going on. The struggle with alcohol had not finished. But I was kind of getting like these kind of Bible verses that come into my head while I was praying the rosary, which are like, it was like some demons are only cast out by prayer and fasting. And then like, if your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off. These kind of Bible verses would just be popping into my head, you know, and then I'd be thinking about them. So I was thinking like, okay, this obviously means I need to have periods of fasting. So like I started, I was doing periods of fasting along the way. Like I do 30 days here, 30 days there. So that was kind of helping me to break the attachment, like the daily attachment. And then one day, I was asking Our Lady to tell me like, how much does God love me? And like I asked her this in the morning when I was praying the rosary. I was just like, Mom, how much does God love me? And so off I went to work that day. And on the way back from work, I wanted to go home and have a drink. But I felt the Holy Spirit like really calling me and saying, just don't go home right now. Just go to confession. Go to confession first, and then you can go and have your drink. And so I went to confession. It was a beautiful experience. And then after I felt called to go and sit in front of Jesus in the Blessed Sacrament. And so I was sitting there and I was like, so how much do you love me? And then I felt Jesus say to me, I love you enough to keep calling you back. I'll keep calling you back every day of your life. And like, that was just like a really clear, he said it clearly in my heart. Like, and that was just another time when Our Lady just answered my prayer straight away, you know? Then I was sitting in mass one day. This was all before the consecration happened. It was during the 33 days. And a girl comes up to me and just hands me a miraculous medal. And I never saw this girl before or after. So I was like, okay, I'm going to put on the miraculous medal now. So another little sign, you know, during the time when I was doing the consecration, I get given this miraculous medal randomly. And then on the actual consecration day, and that was great. Like from that day forward, everything became more peaceful for me, and I just felt closer to Jesus and to Our Lady, and peace flowing and grace flowing all the time. Shortly after the consecration day, I was praying the wedding feast at Cana, Mystery of the Rosary, and I heard Our Lady say to my heart, she was like, I care about all your little problems. Every little problem that you have, you can hand it to me, and I'll hand it to Jesus, and you do whatever he tells you, from the wedding feast of Cana. So I hear her like speaking clearly in my heart, and I just write it all down, and it's really beautiful. And also, when I was in Medjugorje, when I was like 15, or no, I was maybe 20 or that, with my mom, I got that. Like, there's a statue of the risen Christ there. A miracle happens. So liquid flows out of the knee of Jesus, of the statue, and out of the side of Jesus. I'd just be awestruck by this statue. Like, I just couldn't stop staring at it. Like, you could buy these handkerchiefs. So I have one here, and it says, it's Our Lady on the handkerchief, it's a picture of the statue of the risen Christ, and it says, if you knew how much I love you, you'd cry of joy. So over in Medjugorje at that time, I didn't know my husband at this time, but I got some of these handkerchiefs, and I rubbed it onto the liquid that comes out of his side. And then I felt Our Lady telling me, during the rosary, that I should give one to my husband. So I gave this one to my husband as well. So I feel like I don't know what the fruit of that is yet, but I know she asked me, like, I got that for a reason back then, and I know there's going to be fruit from it, so he carries it now in his wallet.
When we were at Medjugorje, we also had some experiences with that 30-foot tall bronze statue of the resurrected Christ, including Beth also took these cloths that you can and rub the knee that this water comes out of. No reason why this water should be coming out of this knee. It just does. And you wipe it and give it to somebody who maybe has, whatever that they would like to be healed of. We gave it to a friend who gave it to her brother who had a cool little miracle healing. And then somebody else who was on the Medjugorje trip did the same thing, sent it to her sister who had been out of the church for like 40 years. And suddenly she's going to confession and going to mass. And it's like, something's going on here. Anything else happened for you over there? Or a sense that while you were there?
Oh, yeah. Like, I mean, when I went there, like the day of, I was being really like horrible to my mom. And we were arguing, like I was just being a horrible daughter. And when I got there, like they were doing actual open air confessions. So all the priests were just sitting out in like an open courtyard on benches. And I had a complete like, I was like, okay, I'm going to go to confession. But during confession, I had like one of the most amazing experiences of my life. So it changed what I thought about confession, because I just was completely overcome with like the mercy of God, and just with sorrow, actually, like for how I was acting. And I was just bawling, crying like during confession, which I'd never ever done before, So I completely changed my opinion of confession, because up until then, all my confession experiences were just like, I was just kind of more closed, and I didn't feel that the mercy of God. Like I didn't have that big experience.
So your earlier normal confession will be just checking the box. You're just checking the box. I did this.
I kind of had a new empathy.
When you walk out of there, life is different. It's just, everything feels different. It just does.
Oh, everything. And like, honestly, like you could go to 10 years of therapy and pay thousands and millions of dollars or euro for it, but you're not going to get the same as you do from one good confession. Like,
I'm with you on that. Like, I think people could save so much money on therapy by going to confession. I agree.
Oh, do people know this? Like,
no,
I mean,
they don't know. They don't know.
You don't know until you have that experience with God yourself. Like, going to confession each time is a death unto yourself. Like, it doesn't get any easier to go to confession. Yeah. Like, it's a death to yourself. So it's even good for you to get rid of.
Cutting out a bit. Still there? Did we lose you? Or did we just freeze?
Hello?
Oh, there you are. You're coming back. See, the devil doesn't like confession, so he just gave us a little
No, he does not.
It's one of the great secrets.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, now let's go on with your story. Where do you go from Medjugorje? Anything else happen there you want to talk about?
Well, probably for the first time, an appreciation for Mass. because before I just found Mass boring, but in Medjugorje something happened and I loved Mass after that. So,
Where's the booze in all of this now?
oh, the booze! I forgot all about the booze.
Yeah, let's not forget about the booze. We'll finish up there next, but first a quick pause. Don't you know? My dialect's getting worse. Then back to Ireland and Juliann here on Touched by Heaven, Everyday Encounters with God. She mentioned how in her teens she was in Medjugorje. I waited a little longer. Beth and I waited much longer going last year, and we're going back again soon at the end of May. And it's kind of final countdown time here as we're getting pretty close to filling it up. So if you are interested at all, please do this. Go to MedjugorjePilgrimage.life. Medjugorje spelled how else? Just like it sounds. Medjugorje pilgrimage.life. And ask for information. A little box will pop up. Put Trapper in there, so that way we know you're with the in crowd, and just get all the information, and then we'll go from there. Okay. But hope to see you in Medjugorje. We'll be staying with one of the visionaries, Maria. It's just a special place where Mary, the Queen of Peace, has been appearing since 1981, and Maria's been seeing her every day. And we'll be there too for her monthly messages, which have been getting really interesting. I think especially these last couple of months. So, MedjugorjePilgrimage.life. Okay. And did I do my shout out yet? Oh, I haven't done my Patreon shout out. So excuse me, Tessie. I made you wait. Tessie Bozen. Thank you, Tessie, for joining the Patreon family and keeping this all going. You can do the same by going to touchedbyheaven.net right here at episode 250, or go to patreon.com and search for Trapper Jack. Now let's get back to Juliann here on Touched by Heaven.
You see, I was praying all the time to get rid of the booze, right? But I was kind of praying more that I'd be able to moderate. I'd be like, well, I don't want to drink anymore, but it'd be nice if I could sometimes. So once I told God I want it gone, like I said, you can take it now. I don't want it. I want nothing to do with it ever again. Because before I've been praying, can I have a little bit when I want it? But then I was like, no, I don't want it anymore. Take it. So I told him that. And then I got this great idea into my head during the rosary again. That was to do 100 days off and to email myself every day. Because I'm the kind of person who needs to keep myself accountable all the time. So I started this, and I took a picture of myself on the day 1, and then I took another picture on day 50, and the difference between them, and I wrote how I was feeling on day 1. I wrote how I was feeling every day, and I've been keeping track of it, and basically since then, well, I got the gift of disgust again. Because remember, I got the gift of disgust about the parties. Well, he gave me the gift of disgust about alcohol as well. So basically I just feel nauseous at the thought of it now. And I've been to so many events now, even on holidays, and everybody's been drinking around me, and I haven't had one craving. And I don't want to go back on it. So I feel completely like a new person now, like a new creation. But all I had to do was say, right, I'm ready now, sometimes we're just so attached to our own sin that we don't want to let it go. And God's never gonna force it onto us. He takes us along with all of our sin, with and all of our attachments. He wants us with all of those as well. And in our own time, he'll free us from them. But sometimes we just have to tell him that we're ready, and then he will do it.
I'm surprised by how many people I've talked to with similar experiences where it was just suddenly all gone. In some cases, alcohol, some cases, drugs, whatever it was, cigarettes. This is supposed to be a heck of a process. And for some, it's nope, they just took away all the desire.
Yeah, but I think it's when you're ready yourself, because even deep down, sometimes you mightn't really be ready. You might still part of you still wants it. And God's he's not gonna push you into it. He knows about our attachments, and he's not gonna force us into it. But when we're ready, he'll give us what we need. But definitely Our Lady, in everything, she's the one who's guiding me every day.
How long has it been since you had your last drink then?
Well, now I'm on day 89, I
Oh,
think.
we're not even through the 100 yet. Oh, okay.
No, I haven't done the 100. No, but I
Okay.
know like it's shifted now, because before I'd be already jonesing for the drink after 30 days.
Jonesing. I haven't heard that for a while.
Yeah.
Okay, Jonesing. This has been so ongoing, and Mary's right there guiding. And I've told my story in the podcast a number of times. Mary's the one who came after me. I was the one that was out there away from God for about 30 years. And again, you mentioned August 15th. That was, I didn't realize it was August 15th of 1999 when I sent out this, I don't know what I'm missing prayer, but you do. And I looked back later, and it was
Oh.
August 15th. And then later when I got
Oh my gosh.
yeah, when I got my vision back for a minute one night, it was December 8th, Feast of the Immaculate Conception. So I
Oh,
see
come
Mary's
on.
fingerprints all over me, and obviously I see them on you as well. She's the one that's supposed to collect us. Started at the cross where, behold your son, behold your mother kind of thing with John, and the gathering of the chicks began, if you will.
Yeah,
So
I
and
know.
we're just part
Beautiful.
of the chick family.
Yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful. Um and like even spending more time with Our Lady, like I used to be taking the contraceptive pill, because it's so very common in our worlds today. And when I was younger, I went to the doctor and I had an issue with my periods coming too often, and they were like, "Oh, here's the pill." They didn't even like go into like, "Oh, what could it be? Maybe we should help you out here." They were like, "Take the pill." So but then spending time with Our Lady just kind of like made me start to realize feminine genius, and like how it's being a woman is actually a really big gift, and we're meant to be like this, and our bodies and our hormones are meant to be like this. So like the fact that we frequently take these pills that just make us all completely leveled out hormonally and don't make us any different from men in some ways is like very bad. So she made me realize that just spending time with Our Lady made me realize that, it's good to be different. It's good to be a woman and be a mother. It's just completely different now. Not being on it is completely different because I realize that I have different times in the month when I feel like very fatigued or very open or very productive. And before I just felt the same all the time. But I feel these ways because we're supposed to rest at certain times of the month as women. We're supposed to be more outgoing. We're supposed to, it's meant to be. It's all kind of worked into how God made us. And I think the world will tell us that we should see this as an inconvenience, but it's not. It's actually really cool.
Yeah. Who's married to you? Who is she?
My mother, my mom.
You say that so nicely. It's just that's mom. That's mom.
Yeah, because she just revealed herself to me as mom, and like I always just talk to her. I'm like, Mom, like, look at this. I'm gonna be on the podcast, Mom. Like, 'cause I know that she has planned everything, and this is all her. And she's like, I'm just along for the ride.
And what did
She can
mom
do
say
it.
again? What did mom say again about Jesus?
She said, put my son first.
Yeah.
Like, if anyone out there wants to change their life, I'd say do the Marian consecration and pray the rosary. And your life will change. There's no way that it won't.
Look at you, the evangelist. Who would have thunk, huh? Who would have thunk?
I know. Definitely wouldn't have thought it with me, but yeah.
What's our takeaway, Julianne? What's our takeaway from everything that you've experienced and still experiencing? You're still young. A lot of things are still happening. But what at this point? What's your takeaway in all of this?
Pray the rosary and your life will change.
The
That's it.
end.
She'll lead you the rest of the way.
Thanks, Julianne. Appreciate your time.
No problem. Lovely talking to you.
Thanks, Julianne. Great story. Wonderful journey that we're all still on, right? This just is continuing on. But the big story for Julianne is that with the help of Mary, taking her to Jesus, she is detaching bit by bit through this journey to heaven. And that's just, it's a beautiful story. Thank you, Julianne. I appreciate that. We're all a continuing work in progress. All right. What is your story? You're holding back on me. I'm telling you. You got an angel story, near-death experience. Maybe it's a prophetic dream. What is it for you? Get a hold of me here at touchedbyheaven.net. Also, here at episode 250 is a link to a Mary CD or download for Mary, His Messenger. Kind of appropriate, I think, if you want to find out more about Mary and what she's doing in the world today and what she certainly did for me. And thank you so much for any help you might want to give us through patreon.com. Search for Trapper Jack, or again here at episode 250. All right, let's do this again next week. This is Touched by Heaven, Everyday Encounters with God. I'm Trapper Jack.
You can take it now. I don't want it. I want nothing to do with it ever again.